Hi everyone. In this video, I want to show you some of the good online resources for research in art history. I'm going to walk you through a few of these sources. I'll also be posting to your specific course Moodle page links to all of these as well. So the first one, and those of you who are in courses that have a kind of digital textbook that Busby has created for you, you're probably familiar with the Khan Academy site. If you go to Khan's landing page and select courses in the top left corner, under Arts and Humanities, you'll find both art history and then AP College art history. Both have lots of great content and include both essays and videos. Many of the essays also incorporate short bibliographies at the end or may link you to additional resources. Khan sort of broadly organizes their content according to a chronology and also according to geography. So you can see some of these things. There are also some really nice resources, some sort of special topics if you're doing research. I really like this one called Seeing America, which teaches American history through using art objects. Arches I actually use for a course that I teach for Nichols Online. And it focuses on cultural heritage, so preservation, conservation, art crimes such as looting and other sort of protections for world monuments and sites. And then the Creating and Conserving has some really good information from the angle of a conservator of art. Also has some really nice content, and a lot of this links to other sites about color and painting materials and these sorts of things. So if that's relevant to your particular research, that might be useful. So the next resource is Smart History. And the one thing I will say about Smart History is much of what is on Khan's website is a duplication of Smart History. Smart History started as a small website and a YouTube series where two art historians had sort of informative conversations about works of art, and they would literally record these in major museum collections, sort of standing in front of the work of art and looking through these. I'm sure many of you have seen a Smart History video in an art history class if you've taken one before. But they have also gotten a lot of grants in recent years. They have these really great short courses where they gather up topical information. So sometimes if you're looking for a research topic, this might be a good place to go. Art and the Environment, Indigenous Peoples, Where Are the Women Artists, Understanding Museums, Oppression and Resistance. This is one that they developed over the summer in response to a lot of the issues that were happening surrounding Black Lives Matter, and looks at a lot of these objects. It pulls together a lot of existing content, but also pulls it together in a way that helps you learn about a specific sort of theme. So lots of good stuff here. Like I said, it largely duplicates what's available on Khan. So make sure you're not citing the same article twice, but it never hurts to check both resources because there is some content on each that is not available on the other. One of my favorite resources for art history research is the Metz-Heilbronn timeline of art history. And it works in a variety of different ways. They have essays, they have short content on specific works of art. They also have this long-running chronology. If we click into the essays, so you can just search by your topic to see they are always developing new essays. So here they're featuring the latest essays added to the content. They have been making big efforts both with the Heilbronn and the Smart History and Khan resources to have better coverage of the so-called non-Western art traditions. So you can look at those things. But if we, for example, click into the content on abstract expressionism, they will give you sample works that you can browse. These are all specific works that are in the METS collection, and the essays are tuned in some ways to the works that exist in the Met, but still provide nice overview and information. So you can read through this essay by Dr. Stella Paugh in the education department. None of these are long. Again, a lot of you will have encountered these essays in readings for at least my art history courses. I really like that they provide the further reading section, and in particular where they will link you to, and I'll show you this in a separate link in just a moment also, is that the Met has tons of their in-house publications available as PDFs, either for download or for online reading, which can also be really good. So here is a text from an exhibition they had about abstract expressionist works on paper, and you can click in. They also have links to all the articles that are in the Metropolitan Museum of Art Bulletin. Check the dates on these. Some of them go back pretty far. This one's not that old, but sometimes you get things from the 50s and the 60s, and so you want to read those, but also consider whether the scholarship has changed in recent years. Another thing that I really like, I'm going to scroll back up, don't get dizzy, are these related essays. So you can kind of connect the dots in terms of the art and read about other artists or art movements. You can see where you are in their chronology. You can see keywords. All of these things, the online features will give you some additional content from the collection. So it's a really nice resource. It covers a great deal of stuff. The Met's collection is huge, and so odds are you're going to find something that is at least in a satellite way related to what you're researching for the course. The same goes, you can go directly to this Met Publications website, and you can find a whole section of books with full text online. You can find individual volumes of the Met Museum Journal, as well as the Art Bulletin, and some notable exhibition catalogs. You may not be able to download them necessarily, but a lot of these things you're going to be able to read online. And this will be especially useful in fall 2020 when our interlibrary loan capacities are limited because of COVID-19. Another resource that many of you may be familiar with if you've taken Busby courses before, because I use them often, content from this site often as my textbook for classes, is the art story. The art story really began as a focus on modern art with a kind of basically sort of 1850 to 1950 trajectory, but they have been expanding greatly and expanding to incorporate a lot of folks in the greater, largely Western canon. They do cover contemporary art as well, and that's where you'll get most of the entries of non-American, non-European artists. You can see Ai Weiwei's face right here. You can browse by artist, you can browse by movement, you can use the search feature. They also have content on other things like collage or other styles. They're also building up, you can see here, their content on architecture. You can also see who they've been adding most recently in terms of content. It's a big sort of span. They're also constantly working to update entries. So this entry on Jasper Johns, on Rauschenberg. If I click in, let's click into Jasper Johns. They're organized in a really sort of simple way. They have a main sort of summary of the artist's work. They often feature quotes from the artist. They give you a kind of bullet pointed list of the artist's major accomplishments. They'll give you a biography. You can click in to read the full biography. You can also read this section on the artist's legacy. And then something that's really nice is that they have these, 2 to 3 paragraph discussions of specific works by the artist. So here you can see a discussion of Flag, and you can continue to scroll. There are other works here that you can sort of click through as well. They also take that kind of connect the dots or web of art influences approach, and you can sort of click in and see who they influenced and who they were influenced by. I also really like the resources section at the bottom, in part because of how well organized it is. They ID really strong sources on the artist. It's not everything that's out there. Typically things like books like this, you may not be able to find online necessarily, but it's good in terms of being able to track it down through the library or interlibrary loan if it's working. They'll link you to websites, in this case, MoMA and Walker Art Center. They will also link you in to various articles, video clips, the whole shebang. They'll tell you how to cite the article, all those sorts of things. So next up is the Internet Archive, which is this massive library of free books and other content for view. And in particular, you can search for a specific topic. A lot of the stuff that it's going to find are resources that are older and already in the public domain that are no longer subject to copyright restrictions. However, there are some museums and libraries that have uploaded some of their own publications for use. And the Guggenheim is one who uses the Internet Archive. And there are lots and lots of, so I like to just search for Guggenheim, and then over here in the collection section, I can click on Guggenheim Library Collection page. And this will give me everything they've uploaded. And some of these are really nice. On the spiritual and art, this is Kandinsky's book on his ideas about color and abstraction and spirituality. Standard text in art history. Here's a copy of Voegelin's Principles of Art History. So you can find some really nice, largely older, but very useful texts, also catalogs for exhibitions at the Guggenheim. And they are always adding to this, but there are over 300 texts. Here's a nice one that I've used in my own research. And it's a catalog called The First Papers of Surrealism from an exhibition from 1942. Am I right? Yeah, 1942. And once you click in, they also, with these catalogs, replicate what the actual catalog looks like, which is really nice because some of these are works of art in their own right. But you can read through and flip through and use this. And so it's really useful, especially for primary sources, sometimes from artists and catalogs and stuff like that. The Getty in Los Angeles is another institution that has a lot of resources. I think any major museum collection is going to have some good online content. MoMA has some really great content as well, places like that. But the Getty has developed a lot of free materials for learning, articles and videos, also podcasts and things like this. So if we click to explore art online, we can get into various content and sort of look through. You can use the search function, but they have some really, with a little digging, they have some really nice content on the Getty site as well. You can also go directly into their resources section as well, and this is the same page I landed you on at first. But things like their publications. Some other stuff for K through 12 teaching may also, especially the stuff developed for high school teaching, may also be useful as well. Finally, for everything else that I haven't hit on yet, is this page developed by the University of Michigan. It's called the Mother of All Art and Art History Links Pages. It has a lot of different kinds of information here, but in particular, research resources is really helpful. And they organize it broadly by topic. So you get here, here's stuff on archaeology, art history on the web. There's lots and lots of different things. This has been updated fairly recently, but I find every once in a while when I go here, some of the links may be broken. So it does take a little hunting about and those sorts of things. But it can be really useful, particularly if you're in a topical area. You need to work on an Asian work of art for your particular research project. And so you can look at some of these more sort of topic specific resources. So those are all the resources that I wanted to show you. If you have questions about these, please reach out. I hope this helps you on tackling research for the particular project that you're doing right now. Thanks so much. Bye.